Chapter 22. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was so angry that he was not happy. Finally came out, Zi Xiao left Tianxian Holy Land amidst the strange eyes of the gatekeepers, as a time traveler. All these years almost drove him crazy. The reason was that for more than 10 years, except for occasionally going to the so-called secret realm trial, he had never left Tianxian Holy Land. Beautiful master, caring junior sister, top authority in the sect, countless people offered themselves for bed just by showing up. Whoever gets such treatment will become a otaku. Zi Xiao was of course the same. It was not until he found that the way of heaven could not be changed that he completely started to play badly. Now that he has left the sect, he still feels a little reluctant. Forget it, it's useless to think so much, let's find a place to have fun first. Thinking of this, Zi Xiao's eyes lit up. He is a time traveler. Since he intends to get rid of the so-called shackles of heaven and the shackles of the plot, of course he has to enjoy himself. As for whether he will encounter danger, there is no need to worry at all. Who is he? He is a villain. As a villain, how could he encounter a group of blind people who come to find trouble for no reason? That is the pattern of the Son of Destiny. As for not having any background behind him, it doesn't matter. Looking at the younger generation, there are few opponents. As long as you don't make trouble, you don't have to worry about safety. First of all, you have to stay away from Tianxian Holy Land, otherwise you can't have fun. Maybe one day by chance, you will meet the Son of Destiny and get involved in the storm. TSK. It's a headache just thinking about it. As a cultivator in the distraction period, flying thousands of miles is not a problem at all. With this thought, Zi Xiao turned into a stream of light and fled into the distance. In 3 days, the entire world of immortal cultivation was shaken. The reason was that the son of Tianxian Holy Land left the sect, and that son was a top-level evildoer who combined the luck of heaven and earth, the reincarnation of a banished immortal, an unknown physique, ancient double pupils, the stage of distraction, worshipped by saints, the king of the world, jealous of heaven. The various labels put on him are simply dazzling. When the big and small holy places received the news, they were dumbfounded. If they had such a heaven-defying son, they would have worshipped him, even if they let the Lord abdicate early. As a result, Tianxian Holy Land directly abolished his position as the son of the saint. The reason is even more laughable. The son of the saint is full of evil, bullying men and women in the sect, doing all kinds of evil. He has such a talent, so what's wrong with bullying men and women? What's wrong with doing all kinds of evil? If it were in other sects, they would even help the Holy Son to accomplish what he wanted to do, and the most important thing is that at the end of the matter, it turned out to be a misunderstanding. The Holy Son was framed. All the geniuses have pride. You slandered him so much, and even let him frame the Holy Son in your own territory, which is simply ridiculous. He left, and your Tianxian Holy Land really deserved it. But what I didn't expect was that another young genius emerged in Tianxian Holy Land, who had the supreme bone, and with the strength of the middle stage of the nascent soul, he could resist hundreds of cultivators above the late stage of the nascent soul. This made other sects a little jealous. You Tianxian Holy Land just pushed out a holy son, and another one came. But the major sects all put Zi Xiao's affairs in the first place. Such a genius, you Tianxian Holy Land don't want, we want it. Especially the demon sect. They even said that as long as Zi Xiao joined their sect, even if he really bullied men and women and did all kinds of evil things, what did it matter? You can even ask the elders to sleep with you, and you can even go to war with Tianxian Holy Land for Zi Xiao. The other 10 holy lands are similar. Although everyone is a fellow traveler on weekdays, facing a peerless genius like Zi Xiao, it is worth it even if they have to break up with Tianxian Holy Land. We are all holy lands. Who is afraid of whom? Some sects even said that as long as Zi Xiao joined them, the position of the Son of God was nothing, and he would be the Son of God. As long as you can maintain this talent and continue to practice, the position of the Holy Lord can be given up in advance. Tianji Holy Land. As a person of great background, the old man Tianji crawled out of the ground directly and called the current Holy Lord and all the elders to a meeting. Everyone held information about Zi Xiao in their hands. He is really a person of great luck. How long has it been since the ancient double pupil appeared? And he also has an inexplicable physique that can compete with it. If this person is me, our disciples, then. Hearing this, everyone nodded. They had already given orders to find Zixiao's whereabouts, and then treat him with courtesy, and pass the news back. The Holy Lord went to greet him personally. Old Tianji was a strong man several generations ago. Because he had discovered the secrets of heaven, he sealed himself up in advance, in order to wait for the opportunity to become an emperor before being born again, but Zixiao's matter actually burst him out of the ground directly, which shows how much he values Zixiao. I feel the breath on the Tianji lock. This is an anomaly, but it is also an opportunity. If I can get close to this boy, I must be able to discover the ray of life between heaven and earth. Hearing this, the Holy Lord of Tianji hurriedly said, "Don't worry, Uncle Master, I have asked someone to look for him, and I guess there will be news soon." That's good. The aura of this boy is too chaotic. Even I can hardly calculate his location. Old Tianji sighed. What? Uncle Master, you can't find his location either. And he carries chaos. What does this mean? The Holy Land of Tianji, which claims to follow the way of heaven, is better than other holy lands in calculating destiny. Even the list of the strongest in each era is released by them, and it is named the Tianji list. Hearing the question of the Holy Lord of Tianji, the old man Tianji slowly said, "Since ancient times, people with great luck have been difficult to find. The reason is that the way of heaven is too protective. Forcible exploration will be blocked by the way of heaven. But this boy is different. He has the breath of chaos. Even the so-called chaotic body is not as pure as the chaotic breath on him, which means..." The old man Tianji did not finish his words, but gave the Holy Lord a look. The latter seemed to have thought of something and stood up from the chair in an instant. He is the destined person. After getting the confirmation of the old man Tianji, the expression on the face of the Holy Lord of Tianji became more excited. Good, good, good. Great, my holy land of Tianji has finally waited for the destined person. Then we must protect him. All the high-level officials of Tianji Holy Land were also shocked. The destined person. We have waited for so many epochs, and finally he appeared. What is the heavenly Tao? Fuck him. If you want to hurt the destined person, this heaven, don't worry about it. Ha ha ha, my Tianji Holy Land is going to prosper. That if there are outsiders here, they will probably be shocked to hear what these people say. Everyone knows that the people of Tianji Holy Land are superstitious every day, and they always talk about the heavenly Tao and the destiny. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ban dang zem van ban gok chua dike, ko the kio soang quoi trang de chan ban dike. Now, for the sake of a genius, he actually curses the way of heaven. Boom, layers of calamity clouds are constantly gathering on the Tianji Holy Land, as if they are going to destroy the entire Holy Land. Ha 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 ha, God can't bear it anymore. We are the ones who steal the sky, so we must have endured this dog-eating Downing for a long time, right? I didn't expect that after just a few curses, he was about to take action. Maybe it's because we discovered the destined one. While everyone was still laughing heartily, old man Tianji closed his eyes, and within a moment, he opened them again. At this time, his old eyes were filled with golden light, and the aura of the avenue was constantly bursting out from his eyes. Old man Tianji waved his sleeves. Boom. In the shocked eyes of countless disciples of Tianji Holy Land's sect protecting formation was activated directly, and a colorful light completely enveloped the mountain range where Tianji Holy Land was located. From the location of the Holy Lord Temple, there is an aura that makes people surrender unconsciously. Immediately afterwards, golden light shone, and powerful spiritual power burst out from the Holy Lord Temple, and those spiritual powers were constantly intertwined and gathered. A golden hand covering the sky rose from the Tianji Holy Land, and the mountain seemed extremely small in front of that hand. Click, click, click. As soon as the big hand covering the sky appeared, the surrounding space began to collapse, and the big hand was suddenly shot towards the sky. Along with the deafening roar, the layers of calamity clouds in the sky were directly blown away by that hand, and the sky became clear again. 10,000 Demon Sect. As one of the best among the demon sect, he is not afraid of the so-called righteous ones. Therefore, the sect was placed in the star realm, and the entire star realm was renamed the 10,000 Demons realm, thus displaying the sect in the eyes of the world openly. The reason why the demon sect is called demon is not at all because it is a small sect in the world that burns, kills, loots and commits all kinds of evil. It's the way they practice. The so-called righteous monks follow nature. Follow the way of heaven, and feed nature back with every breath. On the other hand, demonic cultivation is to nourish oneself and seize the good fortune of heaven and earth. Although this kind of cultivation can be faster, in the long run the damage caused by treating heaven and earth is irreversible. This is also why the so-called righteous sects are at odds with the demonic sections. But those demon sects at the top cannot be destroyed by just talking. The strength of those demonic sects is no less than that of the 10 holy lands, and even because the early stages of demonic cultivation will be faster, they are even more powerful than the 10 great holy lands. In the 10,000 demons realm, there is no such thing as the howling of ghosts and wolves, and the miserable conditions of hell on earth are similar to those of the sects in the 10 holy lands. It's just that the faintly floating demonic energy in the sect and the blood-red light in the sky make people feel chilly. In the demon lord hall of the 10,000 demons sect, all the demon cultivators looked at the information in their hands with greedy eyes. Ancient double eyes, unknown physique, distraction period, TSK. This little guy is a mobile treasure house. Lord, what should we do? Should we kidnap him? If he joins our sect, we will pay him back. If he is disobedient, then just dig out his double pupils. Of course it's best to join our sect. Such a talent, even if it's a devil, is probably only on par with him, right? And don't forget, this little guy is in the distraction stage, and the Taoism is natural. How can it be exactly the same as Moz's cultivation level? Hearing everyone's discussion, the demon lord on the stone chair held his chin with one hand, with a trace of interest in his blood-red pupils. The things that this little guy named Zixiao was slandered for are what a demon cultivator should do. I hope these things are all done by him and not slander. Otherwise, even if a righteous Hua Gudwa joins our sect, he will eventually be eaten up by those unruly guys. Then Lord, what should we do? Didn't the heavenly demon sect shout out before that as long as he joins it, it will give him many benefits? The same goes for us. Such talents can never be obtained by others. Yes. Heavenly demon sect, shaking light holy land, hidden sword holy land, Buddhian pavilion, etc. These top sects of good and evil all extended an olive branch to Zixiao, in order to let such a top genius join their sect, promised numerous conditions that were difficult to refuse. Even those small and medium-sized sects have stated their conditions, and some sects even said that if Zixiao likes women, they can blow their ancestors out of their ancestral land. Their ancestors were once the most beautiful women in the 9 states and 10 lands. It can be said that filial piety leads to strength. At this time, Tianxian Holy Land, the outside world has already known about Zixiao's affairs and experiences, and the disciples of the sect certainly know about it. For a time, all of them criticized the disciples who went to the main hall to complain. Before the eldest brother closed the mountain, he took good care of the young disciples. Not to mention those in the sequence, even ordinary disciples, the eldest brother treated them equally. If they had not been qualified to enter the main hall that day, they would have gone in to support their eldest brother, but they did not expect that the eldest brother's position as the son of the saint was abolished, and he even withdrew from the sect directly. Damn bastards! You are just jealous of the senior brother. Come out. You have the guts to slander the senior brother in the main hall. Why don't you have the guts to say it in front of us? I don't have any talent, but the senior brother always remembers my name. When I left the sect, he even told me to practice well. What should I practice now? If the thoughts are not clear, the realm will not fluctuate at all, so I will kill you to prove the truth. A bunch of ungrateful wolves. I know that the senior brother has been kind to you before, but you actually did such a thing. Don't say that the senior brother was slandered. Even if he was not slandered, what's wrong? The senior brother has paid so much for us. What's wrong with asking you for a little bit of resources? What do you have to be wronged about? A group of young disciples blocked those disciples who went to the main hall to complain directly in the cave. If it weren't for the blessing of the formation in each cave, hundreds of disciples would have been beaten to death at this time, even the sequence would be useless. After all, there were tens of thousands of disciples blocking the door. If their realm is not high enough, they will be killed even if they are piled up with people, coupled with their own guilt. These disciples all hid in the cave and refused to come out. Some of them even planned to cut off their meridians. In the main hall, at this time, there were only Saint Master Mo Yuxiang and her two disciples Luo Tingxian and Lin Yi in the main hall. Master. Luo Tingshuan's tone had lost its former liveliness, and she became weak and decadent. Lin Yi's situation was similar. His hair was messy and his eyes were red. It was obvious that he had not rested at all in these days. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were very busy, and the two of them were very busy. Tingxian, Yi, are you okay? Mo Yuxiang asked calmly. Luo Tingxian bit her lower lip with her pearly teeth. Although there was nothing wrong with her master's tone, she could hear that her master was obviously not right at this time. All this was because of Zixiao, or because all of them misunderstood the gentle senior brother. Master, I want to go down the mountain. Hearing this, Mo Yuxiang's beautiful eyes were a little puzzled. Tingxian, your injuries have not healed yet. What are you going to do now when you go down the mountain? I want to find my senior brother back. Luo Tingxian said this with some difficulty. Lin Yi on the side also hurriedly said, Master, I also want to go down the mountain to find my eldest brother. He shouldn't leave the sect like this. Mo Yuxiang sighed. She also wanted to find Zixiao back. A few days ago, when Zixiao said he was leaving the sect, she planned to keep him, but she was too shocked by the facts she heard at that time, and there is another reason, that is, now inside the sect, she still hasn't found the big hand hidden behind, who has been tirelessly framing her eldest disciple for so many years. If Zixiao stays in the sect, will it be dangerous? Because of these reasons, Mo Yuxiang has no intention of practicing these days and has been investigating inside the sect. Even if those ordinary disciples went to block the mountain gate, she ignored them. Hearing that her disciples wanted to find Zixiao, her beautiful eyes were filled with relief. Xiao has made up his mind to leave, and he will not come back with you. Besides, the sect competition will be held soon, so you should stay in the sect and practice well. As for your senior brother's matter, I will personally solve it. Sect competition. Lin Yi's eyes lit up when he heard these 4 words. He had originally wanted to show his skills in this sect competition, but now his mind was not clear and he could not practice at ease. But the master did not let him go to find the senior brother. For a while, the whole person stayed where he was. Luo Tingxian was almost the same. Now her mind was full of Zixiao's kindness to him before. These days, she wanted to strangle herself directly. Why did she hurt the senior brother like that? Mo Yuxiang did not care about the emotions of the two disciples. She was in a mess all the time. After perfunctory 2 words, her figure disappeared in the hall. Luo Tingxian and Lin Yi also walked out of the hall with gloomy faces. Qilian City. This city is located between the 10,000 demon realm and the Yaoguang Holy Land. If it were a normal situation, it would have been completely changed by the dispute between the 2 paths. However, there is a person with great cultivation behind Qilian City. So the war between the 2 paths has never affected this place. Over time, this place has become a neutral city, and neither the righteous path nor the demon path is allowed to use force. Who doesn't like an absolutely safe city? Especially some casual cultivators and people from small sects. They will choose to come here to exchange experiences. In addition, people from the 10,000 demon realm and the Yaoguang Holy Land will also come here. As a result, Qilian City is becoming more and more prosperous day by day, and various leisure places for cultivators and mortals have sprung up. The shops on both sides of the street are also all-encompassing. You can buy top magic weapons that kill people without a trace. You can also buy peerless alchemy furnaces that refine monks into human pills, and you can also buy the exquisite Buddhist teachings. In some entertainment restaurants, fairies and witches dancing on the same stage are even more dazzling. The world is bustling for profit, and the world is bustling for profit. The reason why these fairies and witches perform on the same stage is not for the spiritual stones needed by monks. At this time, in Qinfeng building, a nobleman in black was leaning on a recliner upstairs, his long purple and silver hair like a waterfall scattered wantonly. and his deep eyes were full of appreciation. What he appreciated was the dancing of the women in revealing clothes on the stage. Fairies played the piano and witches danced. There were also beautiful maids pouring wine next to them. Life is like this. What else can I ask for? This person is Zi Xiao. During these 3 days, he kept using his cultivation to travel. After arriving at the new town, he immediately spent a lot of money to buy the right to use the teleportation array. Since he had to be far away from Tianxian Holy Land, it was not enough to just fly. The teleportation array allowed him to directly arrive at Qilian City. If he only relied on cultivation to fly, it would take about a year to reach the distance from Tianxian Holy Land. Time to arrive. We are so far away from the Sun of Destiny, it should be safe, right? Zi Xiao drank the wine in his hand, and the maid beside him immediately came forward and filled his wine with wine. The maid's eyes were full of confusion and admiration. It is estimated that even if Zi Xiao asked them to sacrifice themselves at this time, the other party would agree without hesitation. There is no way. They have been in this Qingfeng Tower for a long time. They have never seen a cultivator as handsome as Zi Xiao. He is even more generous. He rewards servants with intermediate spirit stones. Spirit stones are divided into 3 levels: low-level spirit stones, intermediate spirit stones, and high-level spirit stones. The conversion ratio is 1 to 100. The offerings of a medium-sized sect are only 10 high-level spirit stones in a year. So when dealing with guests like Zi Xiao, the maids are almost fighting for it. The 3 days of enjoyment also opened up a new world for Zi Xiao. Although he returned the resources of the sect to Mo Yuxiang, it did not mean that he did not have a small treasury. When the system signed in, he was given thousands of intermediate and advanced spirit stones at a time, not to mention the rewards in the brothel. Even if he used the intermediate spirit stones for fun, he could not use them up in a year. I have been in your Qingfeng Tower for 2 days. Zi Xiao sighed. The steward on the side immediately stepped forward with a smile on his face. Sir, thank you for taking care of our Qingfeng Tower's business. With your arrival, our Qingfeng Tower is really prosperous. You. Okay, stop it. Zi Xiao interrupted the other party's flattery and continued, I have been here for 2 days. How much have you spent in total? According to the young master's instructions, the spiritual food and spiritual wine served to you are all of the highest level. In addition to the tips you gave me, the total cost is 10,653 intermediate spiritual stones. The steward is extremely sensitive to numbers. More than 10,000 intermediate spiritual stones. If converted into high-level spiritual stones, that is more than 100. This is not a young master, this is simply the god of wealth. And Zi Xiao has only been here for 2 days, from the steward to the Qingguan on the stage, and those maids, they all made a lot of money. Even if he were to kneel on the ground and act like a dog, he would bark immediately to please the god of wealth. The shopkeeper of Qingfeng Tower has already said that he would satisfy all the needs of this young master and get him whatever he wants. He must not let such a god of wealth go to other industries of his peers. You have spent more than 10,000 spirit stones. Let me ask you. Zi Xiao wanted to stand up, and the maids beside him hurriedly stepped forward and helped Zi Xiao sit up. Is your service so scarce? Or do you think I can't afford it? Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was very angry, but he was still very busy. This. Why do you say that, young master? The manager was sweating profusely, not knowing what he and his friends had done wrong. If he made this man angry and leave, his career as a manager would be over. Why do you say that? Zi Xiao sneered and pointed at the dancers on the stage. I sat here and watched those women dancing for 2 consecutive days. 2 days. Do you know how difficult these 2 days are for a normal man? I have reminded you more than once, and you use this to test the monks. Which monk can withstand such a test? The manager still didn't understand what Zi Xiao meant, and cold sweat soaked his, but he did not dare to neglect it at all, and looked at Zi Xiao with pleading eyes. Sir, I don't understand what you mean. Is it that they don't dance well enough? It's okay, I'll change another batch for you. You. Zi Xiao pointed at the manager, with a somewhat distressed expression. did I ask you to change the dancers? Ha! I came to your house just to enjoy the sight. I have spent so much, what about the hidden services? Can't you have some sense in your heart? This. The manager was stunned on the spot. Under normal circumstances, even if their Qingfeng Tower is a place for cultivators to show off their elegance, it is inevitable that there will be some advanced cultivator services, but Zixiao is generous, and his temperament and appearance are like a banished immortal. The manager didn't dare to let those women come to him at all, for fear that he would accidentally anger the distinguished guests, who would have thought that he would actually make suggestions at this time. Sir. I was wrong. I never understood what you meant. You are like a god, so I dare not blaspheme you in a secular way. Secular way? I have come to such a place, and you still say you dare not blaspheme. Don't think I am not worldly. You should let the bad atmosphere blow in. I can refuse, but you can't refuse to give it to me. After saying that, Zixiao's hand flashed with light, and several high-level spirit stones were thrown directly by him. The housekeeper's head was hit directly by the high-level spirit stone. The force was just right, and it was not painful, but he did not complain at all. Instead, he took those high-level spirit stones in his hand, and his eyes were full of heat. Don't worry, sir. I will make all the arrangements. Bring you the most beautiful fairies and witches. After hearing what the steward said, Zixiao leaned back on the recliner, enjoying the massage from the maid, and slowly said, That's right, I'm a secular person, why don't I enjoy it? Do you think I'm an ascetic monk? The steward rolled and crawled out of the ground. Of course, the maids also heard Zixiao's words, and all of them surrounded him at once. Although these maids didn't have outstanding looks, they were definitely beauties if they were put outside. For those who have embarked on the path of cultivation, their appearance and temperament will gradually change as their cultivation becomes more and more profound. There is no ugly monk, unless their innate conditions are too terrible, or they have practiced some evil and crooked techniques that have made themselves unrecognizable. From the perspective of Zixiao, a time traveler, these maids are all women who were good sisters in their previous lives. Besides, it would be a waste if you don't take advantage of the opportunity that comes to your door. For a moment, the maids kept complaining, and Zixiao was also happy and at ease. The steward held the high-level spiritual stones and walked directly to the backstage. He came to a door and knocked on it lightly. Come in. A voice like a secluded orchid in the valley sounded. Squeak. Opening the door, the steward walked into the room, where a woman in a red dress was sitting. The woman's beauty was so breathtaking, so beautiful that it was beyond description, so beautiful that it was suffocating. A pair of soul-stirring phoenix eyes, seductive red lips, and the perfect arc that rose and fell with the movement, all of which told of the woman's charming posture. The steward didn't dare to look up at all, and knelt directly on the ground. Shopkeeper, the young master is a little dissatisfied, and he also made a small request. Oh, the seductive woman became interested, her flaming red lips slightly raised, and she said with interest, What did he ask for? Does he want to see me? This woman is obviously the shopkeeper of Qingfeng Tower, but she calls herself me, which is enough to show that her identity is not simple. No. Female, the woman raised her eyebrows slightly, somewhat surprised. She thought someone had discovered her identity, otherwise, she would not be so generous. After all, a man who looked like a fallen immortal had a strong aura on him. How could such a genius linger in the brothel to listen to music? He must be one of her suitors, just to attract her attention. The arrival of the steward said that the man had made some requests. The woman thought that the other party had already shown his true intentions and was going to ask to see her, but she didn't expect it to be the case. What is he going to do? He made me have some idea. At the end of the conversation, the steward's voice was already barely audible. He didn't dare to anger his own shopkeeper, which would kill him. What? The woman didn't care about her image anymore. Her mouth opened, her eyes widened, and her face was full of disbelief. That young man said he wanted some services with color. The steward wiped the sweat from his forehead and repeated what he had said before. He wants that kind. The manager was a little embarrassed to speak. The woman was very upset. She had never thought that the other party would ask for this. Zixiao did not have the aura of a demon cultivator. He must be a righteous person. However, even if those righteous people were dirty in their hearts, they would still be righteous on the surface. How could Zixiao come up and ask for that kind of thing? Give it to him. Give it to him. Give him whatever he wants. Anyway, there is such a sucker. It would be a waste if he didn't kill him. Let Ryu go in person. Yes. The manager left the spirit stone and turned to leave. The woman in the room looked through the window with her beautiful eyes straight at Zixiao, who was enjoying himself upstairs. Zixiao, who was enjoying himself, felt the gaze and didn't care at all. I have come to this place. Can anyone recognize me? Isn't that a joke? Ta-ta-ta. Soon, the steward went upstairs, and beside him followed a girl in a white dress. The girl's skin was as white as cream, her eyes were like autumn water, and she had an unbearable temperament. She was holding a zither in her arms. The zither was obviously a magic weapon, and there was a faint light flowing on it. This girl was the one who played the zither on the stage before. I didn't expect the steward to call her over. Seeing this scene, Zixiao's eyes lit up. This girl's appearance was indeed good, but it was not worth his special attention. After all, Tianxian Holy Land never lacked beauties. The reason why Zixiao's eyes lit up was that the girl's temperament was somewhat similar to Mo Yuxiang. The steward brought the girl to Zixiao and said flatteringly, "Sir, this Ryu fairy is the top card of our Qingfeng Tower. Of course, she has never accompanied guests before. This time, let her accompany you." Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were so busy that they had to sit together. Come, do this. Zixiao patted the seat next to Ryu, indicating that she should sit next to him. Seeing Zixiao's straightforward invitation, Ryu's pretty face blushed slightly, but she did not refuse. She gently placed the zither in her hand on the table beside her, and slowly walked to Zixiao's side and sat down. As soon as she sat down, Ryu was directly held in Zixiao's arms. Zixiao could feel that the delicate body in his arms was obviously shaken, but then it returned to calm. The vague murderous intent also slowly dissipated. It seems that the manager was not talking nonsense when he said that Ryu was accompanying guests for the first time. Of course, he could also use the eye of insight to see Ryu's news. But because he was far away from the Tianxian Holy Land, let alone opening the eye of insight, he didn't even have the intention to open the system panel, away from the location of the Sun of Destiny. Isn't it just to have fun? It's too annoying to investigate this and that every day. If you have this time, you might as well enjoy it more. Zixiao hugged Ryu in his arms, and his hands began to get dishonest. Ryu twisted her body slightly, intending to escape from Zixiao's arms, but no matter how she hid, Zixiao followed her like a shadow. After struggling for a while, Ryu also chose to have fun. Anyway, she couldn't resist, and this was the order of the palace master. "Sir, there are so many people around," Ryu said half coquettishly. "It's okay. What's wrong with having too many people? They are all my good sisters. They won't laugh at you." After saying that, Zixiao turned his head and looked at the maids, and then threw out a pile of intermediate spirit stones from his hand again. Seeing this scene, the maids immediately swarmed over and snatched all the intermediate spirit stones directly. They even spoke ill of each other because of snatching spirit stones. No rules. Just when the maids were arguing, Ryu frowned slightly and shouted coldly. The maids stood up instantly and apologized to Zixiao. It's okay, Ryu, can you not be so fierce? You scared them." Zixiao looked down at Ryu in his arms and said with a little criticism. Hearing Zixiao speak for themselves and others, the maids all looked at him with gratitude and fascination. Ryu was slightly stunned when she heard this, and explained softly, "Sir, you are the most distinguished guest of our Qingfeng Tower. For the spirit stones, they lost their composure in front of you. Even if they are punished, it is justified." No. Zixiao shook his head like a rattle. How can there be any loss of composure? I only saw a group of young people working hard for their dream life. Such people deserve respect. After that, Zixiao threw out a pile of intermediate spirit stones again, but this time, he used his spiritual power to control those spirit stones and flew directly into the arms of the maids. Good guy, he is really rich. Ryu's mouth twitched slightly. Zixiao looked serious just now. If she ignored his big hand that kept making trouble, she would really think that he was a saint who was compassionate to the world. Ryu, tell me, how come such a beautiful fairy like you came to such a place to accompany guests? My lord, Ryu's life was miserable. She was framed by her fellow disciples in the sect and destroyed the sect's sacred objects. In addition, Ryu's family members were all in the sect. She had no choice but to accept the sect's arrangement and come here. When she said this, Ryu lowered her eyes gently, and her beautiful eyes seemed to be filled with crystal tears, which made people pity her. If it were an ordinary person, I'm afraid he would have to ask Ryu where her sect was at this time, and if that person has a strong background, he will definitely say that this matter will be left to him to solve. After all, the opportunity to make a beauty smile must be seized. Ryu also used this reason to inquire about Zixiao's background. While listening to Ryu's words, Zixiao's face was also a little indignant. Seeing this scene, Ryu secretly said that it was successful, and the other party's next sentence must be in accordance with the routine. As long as he probed a little, he would definitely let the other party explain his identity clearly. Zixiao sighed and said slowly, "It's hard for you. By the way, I have something I'm curious about and want to ask you." "Sir, please tell me. Have you met any relatives here?" Ryu was full of black lines, and the group of maids also wanted to laugh but didn't dare to laugh. Ahem. If you don't want to say it, forget it. That I'm just curious. You said before that your family members are all in the sect, so this must be your sect's property, so I want to ask you, is it embarrassing to meet relatives? You. Ryu was about to explode, pointing her finger at Zixiao, her body trembling slightly, and her breathing began to quicken. I understand. I won't say anything more. Zixiao patted his chest and promised, hey. I understand your feelings, it's really embarrassing to think about it. Okay, let's continue watching. After saying that, Zixiao turned his head to watch the performance below, and even shamelessly hugged Ryu in his arms again. Although the latter was very angry, he couldn't say much. Now the identity of the man next to him was unknown. If he accidentally offended someone who should not be provoked, it would be troublesome for the palace master. Young master, do you always talk like this? Ah. Zixiao heard Ryu's faint questioning voice and lowered his head to answer, I do talk like this all the time. What's wrong? Nothing. Ryu shook her head. She secretly thought in her heart that this person seemed to have an extraordinary background. Otherwise, if he kept talking like this, he would have been beaten to death long ago. While wondering what Ryu meant, Zixiao suddenly thought of something, looked up at the maid, and asked, are the rooms ready? Room? The maid was a little puzzled. Yes. You won't let me do something shameful with Miss Ryu here, right? Although I don't mind, I think Miss Ryu will not be able to accept it. Ah. This. The maid looked at Ryu cautiously. The latter was also shocked. Originally, the palace master asked her to come here to test Zixiao's identity and background, but he didn't think of letting her really show up. Looking at Zixiao's appearance and temperament of a powerful child, it is estimated that after a beauty like Ryu comes, he will definitely not let her sleep with him. Who would have thought that this person would not play by the rules and could not help but go directly to the last step? What do you mean by this expression? I let the steward have some ideas in his mind, and he let you come. Now you are starting to be reserved. This. Ryu was a little speechless for a while. How could she answer? Should I just say that I came to test you, not to be a maid to sleep with you? If I said that, I would offend the person in front of me to death. Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were so busy that they had to wait for the guests to come to the party. Ah, I understand. Zixiao slapped his forehead, as if he had thought of something, and then there was a flash of light on his hand. Dozens of high-level spirit stones appeared in his hand. A beauty like you, and this is your first time accompanying a guest, you should have some needs. I don't know how many spirit stones your sect's sacred objects need, but you can take these spirit stones, and then prepare a room for me. My fellow Taoist, you are so abrupt to a beauty, I think it's not graceful, right? That just as Zi Xiao was busy stuffing spirit stones into Ryu's soft arms, a voice came over, ta-ta-ta, at the stairs, a handsome young man in white came up. He held a folding fan in his hand and had a handsome face. As he waved the folding fan, he looked a bit unrestrained. Soon, the man came to Zi Xiao and first showed a gentle smile to Ryu, Miss Ryu. Then, he looked at Zi Xiao who was still busy, especially when he saw Zi Xiao's hand constantly stuffing spirit stones into Ryu's arms. His eyes became more and more unfriendly. What? Who are you talking to? With me? Zi Xiao looked at the sudden show-off in front of him in confusion. Is there anyone else here? My fellow Taoist, you treat Miss Ryu like this, and even use spirit stones to try to kiss her. It's a bit too whimsical. Although the man's tone was gentle, there was clearly anger in his eyes, and the folding fan was squeaking when he held it. This time it was Zi Xiao's turn to be confused. What the hell, did I get the wrong script? Am I not a villain? Man, I am a villain, I am not the son of destiny. I came to Qingfeng Tower to enjoy myself. How can I encounter people who are looking for trouble? Did you get the script of the son of destiny? Are you here to be a hero and save the beauty? Thinking of this, Zi Xiao's heart trembled, and he quickly used the Eye of Insight. Name, Qiu Zijian, Bone Age, 21. Realm, Middle Nascent Soul, Power, Yu Jian Dynasty, Tags, Romance Luck, Protagonist Background Board, Wealthy Family, Elegant, Young Talent, Recent Opportunities. Enter the Fantasy Forest in 3 days and get a Spiritual Crane. Enter the Secret Realm in 2 months and get, after using the Eye of Insight to investigate, Zi Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. He thought he had entered some strange script again. After all this time, isn't this just a simple NPC? But I am a villain, you are looking for trouble with me, aren't you a bit desperate? You don't have the protection of heaven, that's right. Zi Xiao suddenly remembered that since ancient times, besides the Son of Destiny, there seems to be a group of moralists who look for trouble with villains, such as Qiu Zijian, who always stand up to morally blackmail when villains bully men and women, but you found the wrong person this time. To use moral blackmail, the person must be moral. Zi Xiao leaned back on the recliner and held Ryu's hand a little tighter. The helpless look on Ryu's face, in Qiu Zijian's view, is a kind of helplessness towards fate. How could he tolerate this? However, his gentle behavior over the years prevented him from getting angry and turning hostile. He said calmly, fellow Taoist, please let Miss Ryu go. There are countless beauties in Qingfeng Tower. There must be someone you admire. Why don't you? Wait a minute, wait a minute. Zi Xiao quickly interrupted Qiu Zijian's long speech and said, from the look in your eyes, you must have fallen in love with Ryu, right? Qiu Zijian's face flushed a little, but his eyes did not evade, and it was obvious that he agreed. Seeing this scene, Zi Xiao lowered his head and asked, Ryu, what do you think? This fellow Taoist seems to like you. How about I let you go and let the manager replace you? Ryu quickly said, Sir, I have no relationship with Mr. Qiu. It's not what you think. Although she wanted to leave here now, after all, Zi Xiao just asked her to warm the bed, but the task assigned by the palace master had not been completed, so how could she leave? Hearing Zi Xiao's question, he opened his mouth anxiously to explain, fearing that Zi Xiao would leave in anger. Oh, so it's unrequited love. Zi Xiao looked as if he had suddenly realized something, raised his head and looked at Qiu Zijian with a smile. The latter's face flushed instantly, and the other's gaze was like a sharp sword, constantly piercing his face. Qiu Zijian didn't say anything, but Zi Xiao was tired. He was a villain, and he was still a rookie. How could he? Okay. He stood up and picked up Ryu, and said to the maid beside him, the room should be ready, right? Take me there. Yes. The maid didn't dare to say anything more, and turned around to lead the way. Just as Zi Xiao was about to leave with Ryu, Qiu Zijian blocked the two again, glaring at Zi Xiao, let go of Miss Ryu. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Will you be polite? Zi Xiao was almost laughing with anger, you are rude to me. You want to mess up my good things for no reason, and now you want to be rude to me. I really don't know where you get the face. Gao Yu, Qiu Zijian's face became uglier after being scolded by Zixiao. You and I are both cultivators, how about this? You compete with me, if I win, and you let Miss Ruyu go. Compete with me? Zixiao stepped forward and looked directly at Qiu Zijian. Both of them were young men, and both of them had some fairy spirit. However, after standing together, Qiu Zijian's temperament, which was originally like that of a nobleman, was instantly suppressed. Even Ruyu had to admit that Zixiao, apart from being a little bit mean, had a good appearance that was rare in the world, and his temperament was even more fascinating. Zixiao said mockingly, "You want to compete with me, are you good at fighting? What's the use of being able to fight? To get involved, you must have an identity and a background. What kind of business are you in?" Although Zixiao's words were strange, Qiu Zijian still heard the meaning of his words, and said with some complacency, "I am Qiu Zijian, the heir of the Yujin dynasty, please give me some face." Yujin dynasty? Forgive my ignorance, is there a force called Yujin dynasty among the 10 holy places? Zixiao looked at Qiu Zijian with a puzzled look. Ryu spoke at the right time, "Sir, although the Yujin dynasty is not one of the 10 holy places, it is also a large sect in Zhouzhou. Most of its disciples are sword cultivators, and they use the secular dynasty model to rule the region." "Oh, it's not one of the 10 holy places." Zixiao nodded in understanding, and continued to speak to Qiu Zijian, so it's a little punk that this made Qiu Zijian's eyes more angry, and he directly exuded his mid-nascent soul aura. This aura was useless against Zixiao. With his transcendent aura, he couldn't even handle the pressure of the Mahayana stage, and he was in the spirit-severing stage. What could the aura released by a small nascent soul stage do to him? Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were very close. I tried to persuade you kindly, but you insulted me repeatedly, even insulting my sect. This is simply intolerable. Qiu Zijian's eyes were about to spit fire. Facing Qiu Zijian's roar, Zixiao seemed very calm, he even had time to rub the roundness in his arms. Then what? Are you going to attack me? Qiu Zijian didn't say anything, but his aura was getting stronger and stronger. Ryu's eyebrows were slightly wrinkled. If Qiu Zijian really attacked Zixiao, it would be troublesome. Originally, he was going to persuade him, but suddenly found that he couldn't speak. This discovery made Ryu stunned for a moment. How could she not speak? She raised her head and looked at the person beside her. That's right, the person who sealed her whole body's spiritual power and even her little mouth was Zixiao. How is this possible? Ryu had close contact with Zixiao and knew that his bone age was definitely not high, and there was no problem with his soul. It was impossible for him to be an old monster. In other words, this person is a young man as powerful as a demon. Facing Qiu Zijian's pressure, he was calm and even had time to seal her up with spiritual power. Who is this person? Not to mention Ryu. At this time, in the room on the first floor, the enchanting woman known as the Palace Master, her phoenix eyes were also staring at Zixiao, her red lips were tightly pursed. Zixiao's identity made her feel as uncomfortable as a cat scratching her heart. Who is this guy? Upstairs, Qiu Zijian's aura overwhelmed the whole place, and he was like a sharp sword about to be unsheathed. His eyes were fixed on Zixiao, and it was obvious that he was going to fight him. A little jerk is a little jerk, just stay here honestly. As he spoke, Zixiao stretched out his white and slender hand and pressed it down gently. Boom! The whole second floor shook, and Qiu Zijian lay on the ground. Before he could figure out what was going on, the pressure on his body was like a mountain, so that he couldn't even stand up, let alone raise his head. Crack, 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 the delicate and solid Tianling wooden floor made a sound of breaking, and Qiu Zijian sank into the ground little by little. Ah! Qiu Zijian's face was like a cooked shrimp, with veins on his forehead bulging. He grabbed the ground with both hands and tried to break free. At this moment, Zixiao came forward and looked down at Qiu Zijian, as if he was looking at a pile of garbage. Bang! Zixiao stepped lightly on Qiu Zijian's head and said in a cold tone that seemed to look down on all living things, "Don't bother me again. Although I plan to live a low-key life, I will not hesitate to step on a person like you who comes to my door." This kick was not very harmful, but it was extremely insulting. Ryu in her arms and the maids around her shuddered unconsciously. It seems that Zixiao's overly gentle and free-spirited appearance these days made them all indulge in it, and completely forgot that as a cultivator, no one has a good temper. Zixiao is a ruthless person. Either kill him directly or never provoke him. Otherwise, sleepless nights await you. After saying this, Zixiao's face was covered with that familiar smile again. He looked at the maid beside him with a smile. Sister, should I take me to the room? Ah. Yes, yes, please follow me, sir. The maid dared not say a word at this time, and hurriedly walked in front to lead the way. Zixiao didn't even look at Qiu Zijian on the ground, and hugged Ryu and followed the maid away. After everyone left, Qiu Zijian's body recovered, and the pressure like Mount Tai was no longer on his body. Bang bang bang, Qiu Zijian, who had recovered, punched the ground again and again. His face was a little distorted at this time, and the whole person exuded a murderous aura. Although he was a righteous man, he had lost his heart. If no one guided him, it would not take long for the inner demon to enter his body. Qiu Zijian. Just when Qiu Zijian was about to go astray, a voice came. The former turned his head and looked. A maid walked up slowly and said slowly, "The palace master asked me to tell you that if you want to remove the Yu Jian dynasty, continue to go crazy here." Qiu Zijian did not speak. Instead, he stood up, straightened his clothes and turned to leave. Before he left, the maid clearly saw that his eyes had turned blood red. The enchanting woman on the first floor sighed secretly. This descendant of the Yu Jian dynasty is useless. Let alone testing him, he can't even make the other party take action. Only evil can fight against evil. Why not? The enchanting woman's phoenix eyes turned, as if she thought of something, and her red lips rose slightly. At this time, the steward knocked on the door again. "Come in." The enchanting woman regained her indifferent expression. With a creaking sound, the door was slowly pushed open, and the steward walked in. His face was already full of bitter smiles. "Boss, do you really want Miss Ryu to serve that young man? Do you have any other way?" That the enchanting woman rolled her eyes, which was obviously a roll of eyes, but it was full of charm. The steward immediately lowered his head and dared not look again. Ryu is a maid they trained. She is the best choice in appearance, scheming and talent. If she loses her virginity, she may not be able to be of much use in the future. It is not an insult to accompany that man. We will compensate her well later. Hearing this, the steward bowed with both hands. "Yes, just follow the instructions of the shopkeeper. By the way, if the little girl comes out in the middle, tell her to record a few scenes for me with memory crystal when she is free, so that I can enjoy it." "Yes." The bitter smile on the steward's face became more and more obvious, but he did not dare to say much, so he had to get up and leave. On the other side, the maid took Zixiao and Ryu directly to a private room. Seeing this room, Ryu opened her mouth slightly, a little unbelievable. Zixiao didn't know about this private room, but she knew it. This is clearly the private room where the palace master usually rests. In other words, the palace master has already made the decision to accompany Zixiao. Thinking of this, Ryu's beautiful eyes were filled with a hint of helplessness and resignation. Since she was such an identity, of course she had to obey orders unconditionally. She knew the methods of her own palace master. Forget it. Anyway, she never thought of being able to stay out of trouble. Needless to say, the excellence of the person next to her is top-notch in terms of talent, appearance, strength, and background. I just don't know what kind of hobbies the other party will have. Although Ryu has never experienced it, she has seen pigs run even if she has not eaten pork in such an environment. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them walked into the room with fear. As soon as the door was opened, a faint fragrance filled the nose. The room was decorated in red tones, with gauze, curtains, and bed curtains, all in red. The faint fragrance made it easy for people to indulge in it accidentally. Zixiao's eyes lit up when he saw such a room. Looking back at the maid, he said, "You are so dishonest. If you had such a treatment, you should have brought me here earlier. I would have saved that unlucky guy outside from being buried in the ground." How dare the maid to argue? She could only lower her head and look at her toes, looking weak, pitiful and helpless. After the two of them entered the room, the maid left as if she was escaping. Of course, she did not forget to close the door before leaving. Spiritual food and spiritual wine were already prepared on the table. Zixiao walked straight to the table and sat down. Looking at the rare ingredients on the table, his appetite was also aroused, so he started to cook directly. After drinking a glass of wine, Zixiao raised his head and looked strangely at Ryu standing in front of the door. "Come and eat." "What are you doing standing there? Are you acting like a sculpture? Or do you want to imitate that unlucky guy outside and do some performance art? How about I help you?" "No, no thanks." Ryu shook her head like a rattle, and hurriedly walked to Zixiao and sat down. "Eat, there are so many delicious foods, it's rare that they prepare them, it's a waste not to eat." Seeing Zixiao eating voraciously, Ryu also swallowed subconsciously. "Forget it. Let's die. I'd rather die of hunger." Thinking of this, Ryu also lowered her head, and no longer cared about her so-called fairy image, and began to eat heartily. Soon, the table became a mess under the crazy eating of the two. After eating and drinking, Zixiao looked at Ryu beside him with a little surprise. After a while, he sighed softly. "Hey, what kind of hard life did you live before you met me? Don't they care about food?" Ryu's pretty face was slightly red. She seemed to have a grudge against these meals just now. It seemed that she ate more than Zixiao. "Can we start now?" Just when Ryu was a little ashamed, Zixiao suddenly laughed. This smile made Ryu's face pale. "It's going to start." "What is starting?" "It's really going to start. Why are you so nervous?" Zixiao looked at Ryu in confusion. "Isn't it just to help relax the muscles? After all, he has been traveling continuously and entering the teleportation array. Even if he is physically strong, he can't help feeling a little sore." I don't." Ryu thought Zixiao was complaining, and hurriedly shook her head in panic. Her bulging little face was extremely cute. After all, arranging them to come to this room, that is to say, it was the palace master's intention, and Ryu didn't want Zixiao to leave in anger. "So I'm going to start." Come on. Ryu nodded seriously, and then showed an expression that "I'm not panicking at all." "Okay." Zixiao stood up directly, came to Ryu's side, hugged her with both hands, and picked her up in a princess hug. Although he had been taken advantage of many times before, this time it was the last step. Ryu's pretty face was full of blushes, and her slender fingers unconsciously grasped Zixiao's clothes. Zixiao carried Ryu directly to the bed, and Ryu closed her eyes as if she accepted her fate. Bang! With a muffled sound, Ryu was thrown directly on the bed. The bed shook because of this. Who am I? Where am I? What should I do? This merciless throw stunned Ryu. She didn't expect that she was in the man's warm embrace 1 second, and was thrown onto the bed the next. So rough. What kind of fetish does he have? Zixiao said nothing and leaned over to Ryu. The latter closed her eyes tightly, held her breath, and her eyelashes began to tremble because of nervousness. After a while, she felt the bed sink. The expected fall did not happen. After waiting for a long time, Ryu opened her eyes carefully and saw Zixiao lying on the bed, looking at her with his head tilted. Those eyes were deep and meaningful, which made Ryu stunned for a while. "How long do you want me to wait?" Ryu was obviously in a state of confusion and did not react. Zixiao spoke again unhappily. "I say, how long do you want me to wait?" Wait. Wait for what? What do you think?" Hearing Zixiao's high tone, Ryu came back to her senses, but she was at a loss for a while. She didn't know what to do. "You are the dignified Qingfeng Tower, didn't you teach you?" Thinking of the previous training, Ryu's pretty face was so red that it was almost dripping with blood. Unconsciously, she uttered a mosquito-like sniffing sound. "I've been taught." "It's good that I've been taught. Come on. You want me to do it myself?" "Nonsense." Hearing Ryu's question, Zixiao almost jumped up from the bed. "You don't want to do it yourself, but you want me to do it?" "Oh." Ryu responded timidly, and then moved closer to Zixiao, biting her lower lip with her pearly teeth, and even sweating on her forehead. The white and tender little hand reached for Zixiao's clothes and began to prepare. "Wait a minute." Zixiao quickly covered his belt, turned his head and looked at Ryu, and said uncertainly, is this the procedure? Ah. Otherwise, hearing this, Zixiao did not stop the other party's actions, and even cooperated to turn around and lie on his back on the bed, allowing him to easily untie his black robe, while constantly mumbling in his mouth. Is the Qingfeng Tower so hard to relax a muscle? It's just like the previous life. Forget it, the service here is pretty good. Ruyu's head was about to smoke at this time. Of course she didn't hear Zixiao muttering. She tried her best to recall the memory crystals she had seen before, thinking about the details discussed by the palace master with her, and her hands never stopped moving. Zixiao lazily relaxed herself completely. Massage, you have to relax, otherwise, those spirit stones will be wasted. After a while, the body felt cold, and the clothes had been placed at the end of the bed. Zixiao also secretly sighed. At Ruyu's dedication. He could clearly feel that this Ryu was in contact with a man for the first time, but she could understand the massage process so well, which was not easy. He raised his head and was about to praise the other party, but suddenly saw Ryu slowly leaning down, warming his body and mind. This was Zixiao's first feeling. Hiss. It seems a little different from what I thought. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was very happy. For 3 consecutive days, Zixiao had not left the room. At mealtime, maids would obediently deliver meals, but when they came out, their faces were full of blushes. It was obvious that there was a scene in the room that made them shy. Today, Zixiao finally opened the door and walked out. He was wearing black clothes, with gilded cloud patterns on his sleeves and chest, which made him more noble. On the top of his head, a silver crown was tied up, and a few strands of purple and silver bangs were scattered on his forehead. His unique temperament made the maids guarding the door obsessed with him. Seeing Zixiao coming out, the steward immediately greeted him, and said with a smile on his face, "Young master, are you having fun?" Hearing this, a trace of embarrassment flashed across Zixiao's face, but then he returned to his calmness. "It's okay. Well, I have to say that the massage training in your Qingfeng Tower is quite good." Massage training? Do we have this project? The steward was a little skeptical about his life. Did Zixiao not come out for so many days just to let Ryu give him a massage? He would never believe this, because after the maids came back from delivering the meal, they described the scene in detail. It was so tragic. The bed, curtains, tables and chairs, every one of them was not intact. It can be seen that Ryu has been tortured a lot these days, and I don't know if this noble young master has any strange habits. So now you tell me, you are giving a massage. Although he sneered in his heart, he dared not show it on the surface. The steward quickly said, "As long as you are satisfied, it's fine. I wonder what your plan is now. Do you want to go to the front hall to watch the show, or should I arrange the next one for you?" Stop. Zixiao made a pause gesture, and even put on a righteous look on his face. How can a cultivator of my generation always immerse himself in the land of tenderness? Who do you think I am? No, how dare I? Just to avoid spoiling your interest, our Qingfeng Tower specially went to find another fairy, Gong. This girl has a completely opposite temperament to Ryu, but her appearance is better. I believe you will definitely enjoy it. Well, the temperament is completely opposite. The appearance is better. Zixiao was still maintaining a righteous appearance, but when he heard what the steward said, he immediately smiled. You are really good at judging people. The steward also smiled a smile that all men understand. But let's talk about it later. This is my first time in Qilian City. I haven't seen it properly yet. Tell the fairy to wait for me to come back. Yes, sir, but do you need a guide? After all, this is your first time here. Find someone to lead the way, and just tell me the rules of Qilian City. Faced with Zixiao's words, the manager dared not say no. He immediately nodded in agreement and gave the maid a look. The latter understood and walked in front of Zixiao and bowed. Well. Seeing that the other party was so sensible, Zixiao also threw a spiritual stone without hesitation, and then walked towards the stairs, followed by the maid. I said I wanted to live in seclusion, so what is the best seclusion? Of course it's not a retreat to the mountains. After all, I finally came here. Is it for him to live in his old age? What's more, there is a saying in the previous life that the great secluded people hide in the city. Zixiao has decided that if he wants to live in seclusion, he will live in seclusion in Qilian City. Before that, we still need to get to know this city well. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing if we don't even know the door of our own house. After Zixiao left, everyone's eyes flashed, and a red figure came directly to the private room. The door was also blown away by a gust of wind. The maids around wanted to say something, but were interrupted by the steward's wave. Don't ask if you shouldn't know. Don't clean up this room for now. Wait until Ryu comes out. Yes. The steward said so, and of course the maids didn't dare to say anything. They all dispersed and went about their own business. In the private room, at this time, Ryu was sitting on the bed, taking out a set of white dress from the storage ring and slowly putting it on. At this moment, a fragrant breeze came, and the enchanting red figure suddenly appeared in front of Ryu. Palace Master, seeing the person coming, Ryu didn't care that she hadn't put on her dress yet, and hurriedly, she was about to stand up and salute, but the charming woman waved her hand to signal that it was not necessary. Little Ryu, it seems that you guys have been having a lot of fun these days. Tut tut tut. Look at what you have done to my room. Hearing this, Ryu's pretty face blushed slightly. The scenes of these days flashed through her mind, especially at the beginning. She performed according to the martial arts moves in those memory crystals. Who would have thought that Zixiao just thought it was an ordinary massage at the beginning? Needless to say, the result was naturally a loss of both the wife and the army. During these 3 days, Ryu did not fall from head to toe. The whole person has become the shape of Zixiao. It would be strange if she was not shy to hear the palace master teasing her like this. Are you shy now? The enchanting woman came to Ryu and sat down. A white and tender finger gently lifted Ryu's chin, and her eyes narrowed slightly. My little Ryu is so beautiful, of course she will be fascinated by him. How is it? Have you found out his identity these days? Hearing the enchanting woman's question, Ryu's face turned pale instantly. Yes. How could she forget the important matter? Not to mention the other party's identity and background, it seems that she didn't even ask the other party's name in these 3 days. He seems to be called Ba Ba. Ryu said with a guilty conscience. Huh? Ba Ba. Hearing this strange name, the enchanting woman was also a little stunned, and countless information flashed in her mind, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't figure out what kind of person this so-called Ba Ba was. To say that her identity can make Qilian City tremble 3 times, even she didn't know this Ba Ba, let alone others. It must be a fake name. The enchanting woman said decisively. She had not found any name for this tyrant in the righteous and evil ways, in the independent cultivators, in the dynasties, or even in the forbidden areas, so it goes without saying that the other party must have used a fake name. Thinking of this, the enchanting woman sighed faintly. You silly girl, you let others take advantage of you, and in the end even your name is fake. No, it can't be. When he was, that time, he kept asking me to call him by this name. The enchanting woman knows men very well. Unless the other party has a special fetish, how could he let the woman under him say someone else's name?